This is the cheapest water gun for $1. And this one costs over $300.
What's actually better, expensive or cheap? Today, I bought almost every type of water gun, and we're going to find out which one is truly worth the money, have a lot of fun, and enjoy an awesome day. Let's start with the cheapest water gun in the world. For just 50 cents, we found this little toy. At first glance, it doesn't even really look like a gun, and the packaging is nothing more than a simple tag. It's made of flimsy plastic and foam.
I'm not sure it'll last long.
The toy looks like an ordinary syringe. By the way, a syringe is probably an even cheaper way to shoot water.
This gun works on the same principle.
The 50-cent toy actually works, and that's already something to be happy about. The most interesting part is that it floats, so you won't lose it while playing in a pool or any body of water. This water gun holds only 15 milliliters of water. That's a ridiculously small amount because it's only enough for a single shot, and it doesn't travel very far, no more than about 5 meters.
Real guns are also tested on a chronograph.
We'll test this toy a little differently to find out how fast the water actually travels. We place two cones 5 meters apart and set up a camera on a tripod in front of them. We start recording and fire a shot. The water traveled from one cone to the other in 0.38 seconds. That gives it a speed of roughly 13 meters per second. This toy is pretty weak. From a distance of 3 steps, it couldn't even punch through a thin paper napkin. It only managed to do it after the napkin had become soaked, and I moved closer. It wasn't anything special in the soaking test either. You definitely won't be able to soak your friend with this thing. Now let's shoot at some targets. These rubber ducks will be our targets. We won't stand too far away since there's no sight here, and we open fire. The first shot missed, but I managed to aim the rest more accurately, although it wasn't easy. The water flies unpredictably and there's simply nothing to aim with. This gun didn't impress us in any way except for its incredibly low price.
The price of this pistol is fully justified.
The cheapest water gun gets 6 out of 10 for value for money. The price goes up and we move on to the next toy, which cost exactly $1. This time there's at least some basic packaging and the gun finally has a familiar shape. The plastic, however, feels very thin and it seems like it's about to break at any moment. Good thing I bought a few extra ones as backups.
The quality is very poor.
The gun is filled through this opening and holds 35 milliliters of water. That's a little more than the previous one. That amount is enough for about 30 shots. But the shooting range was disappointing. The water only reaches about 3 meters, which is actually less than the previous gun. So we'll measure the water speed using a shorter distance between the cones. The water covered 2 meters in 0.32 seconds. That means it's actually slower than the previous competitor. This gun also wasn't very eager to punch through the napkin. I had to move closer and fire multiple shots before I finally made a hole. The soaking test wasn't particularly impressive either. That's because each shot contains only about 1 milliliter of water. Now let's shoot at the ducks. This gun can't knock them over, but you can clearly see on camera that the water lands exactly where you're aiming. This gun turned out to be noticeably more accurate.
The higher price is justified.
Even though it performed worse than the previous one in some of the tests, I personally like it more, so this contestant gets 7 out of 10. For $1.25, we get this toy. The packaging is similar to the previous one, but the gun itself is styled after a real Glock 18, and that immediately earns it some points.
It looks so glamorous.
Despite the budget price, they didn't forget about the details. It has grip serrations and other small features, but what impressed me the most was the moving slide. Every time you fire, it moves backward and returns forward again, almost like a real pistol. The filling port is actually hidden beneath the slide. That's quite a clever and convenient solution. This gun holds exactly 50 milliliters of water, and a full tank is enough for about 29 shots. That's fewer shots than the previous contestant, but each shot is noticeably larger, and the water now reaches about 9 meters. Let's measure the speed of the water. It covered the 5-meter distance in 0.28 seconds. That means the water is traveling at almost 18 meters per second. That's a better result, but it's still pretty easy to dodge a shot like this. As for power, there's still plenty of room for improvement. It seems that's the weak point of all budget models. This gun can only punch through the napkin at point-blank range. Here's what it looks like when you soak your friend with a single shot. This toy even has a basic sight, so I had high hopes for the accuracy test. Let's start shooting. Unfortunately, the water consistently flies well to the left of the target, and I think you can clearly see that yourselves. Playing with this level of accuracy would only be comfortable at very close range. This gun turned out to be seriously off target.
But it has a lot of features.
Even so, my overall impression of the toy remained positive. It gets 8 out of 10 for value for money. If I had to choose between these first 3 contestants, I'd definitely pick this Glock. Now let's move on to the next category of water guns.
You already showed us this gun. This one bigger.
For $10, I managed to buy a much larger pump-action water blaster. Let's find out if size really does matter. This toy is much bigger than the very first one. The packaging is still just a simple tag, and the gun itself works exactly the same way and is made from the same materials. But the very first thing I noticed was that it shoots much more effectively. I think this is the kind of toy you can actually have a lot of fun with. Let's check the tank capacity. It holds 150 milliliters of water, and that's enough for one very large shot. The water travels much farther, so to clearly see where it lands, we'll add some bright dye to it. After that, we fill the gun with the colored water and fire into the distance. The mark will still be visible even after it dries. We measure the distance to the last drop that landed and get 10 meters. If you ask me, that's an excellent result. Now let's measure the speed of the water. The stream traveled from one cone to the other in half a second. That means the water is traveling at 16 meters per second. That's a pretty fast shot. At first glance, the power also seems quite impressive. The napkin test confirms it. It literally ripped it apart. Let's see if it can punch through a stronger sheet of paper. And yes, the stream tears through that as well, although only after the paper becomes slightly soaked. This gun can definitely give your friend a proper soaking. Let's stack a pyramid of cups and check its accuracy. It knocked the targets down, but the hits were fairly random. Since the gun works by moving a piston, the shots aren't very precise. It's especially noticeable when firing quickly.
That's why it's not very accurate.
Overall, this gun didn't disappoint me and performed well across all the tests. This toy gets 8 out of 10. The next water gun costs the same $10, but this time it's made by a well-known manufacturer, even though the model itself is fairly budget-friendly. Finally, we have proper packaging instead of a plastic bag, and the toy itself looks more like a shotgun than a pistol. The plastic was a pleasant surprise as well. It has a textured finish and is slightly flexible, which means it won't crack easily.
The looks and materials are excellent for the price.
We open the orange cap, fill the gun with water, and check the tank capacity at the same time. It holds 450 milliliters of water. This one isn't fired with a trigger, but with this pump handle. It's a pump action system. A full tank is enough for about 25 shots. That's not the highest shot count, but each shot is fairly large. While firing, the gun even makes a sound as if there's electronics working inside, even though there actually aren't any. We add dye to the water, point the barrel forward, and fire. After measuring the distance, we get 9.3 meters. Another excellent result. That's more than enough range for playing in the yard or at the pool. Now let's measure the speed of the water. The stream covered 5 meters in 0.26 seconds, which means it's traveling at almost 20 meters per second. So far, the results are very similar to the previous gun. Now let's test the power by shooting at paper. A single shot didn't cause any serious damage. I had to use almost half the tank before it finally punched through. The power turned out to be slightly lower. The soaking test was also a little worse. Here's the wet spot left after a single shot. However, this toy pleasantly surprised me in the accuracy test. Thanks to the more comfortable grip, it's much easier to control.
This is the most accurate pistol.
This gun delivered almost the same results as the previous one, but it looks more interesting and turned out to be slightly more accurate. That's why it gets 9 out of 10. For just a little more money, I bought the next gun. It cost $12. The box already looks much more premium. Time to unbox it. Inside wasn't just the toy itself.
I think I've seen this somewhere before.
This Glock looks very similar to the one we bought for $1. The difference is that this one comes with 2 magazines, a standard one and an extended one, as well as a battery and a charger, because this toy is electric. We connect the battery. And after pulling the trigger, you can hear the electric pump start working inside the gun.
We tested battery life later.
Even though this blaster looks almost identical to the one that cost $1, the quality is on a completely different level. The plastic is much stronger, the detailing is far better, and the size is as close as possible to a real pistol.
This is the highest quality toy today.
To fill the gun, you simply open this cap. The standard magazine holds 60 milliliters of water, while the extended magazine holds 450 milliliters. We insert the magazine into the gun and start shooting. At first glance, the toy isn't very impressive when it comes to performance. With the small magazine, I managed to fire 75 shots. With the extended magazine, the result was several times higher, around 560 shots. That's an impressive number, but the individual shots aren't very large. The shooting range isn't particularly impressive either. The water reaches only about 4 meters at most. We move the cones closer together and measure the speed of the water. After doing the calculations, we get only 10 meters per second. That's a weak result. The power test was disappointing as well. From 3 steps away, the paper didn't even bend after being hit. I had to shoot it at point-blank range for quite a while before a small hole finally appeared. It even struggled with the napkin. The power is honestly quite weak. The stream feels more like a light drizzle, so you probably won't be able to soak your friend very much. Now it's time for the accuracy test. Here, the gun performed much better. It shoots accurately, and the water lands exactly where you're aiming.
That pistol is quite accurate.
I also wondered how long the battery would last. Before the test, the battery was fully charged. To make the experiment as objective as possible, we connected a hose to provide the gun with a constant water supply. By the way, that's a pretty useful little life hack if you don't want to stop and reload the magazine. We secure the trigger with a zip tie and start the stopwatch. The gun ran continuously for almost 5 minutes. I think that's a decent result for such a small battery. In some ways, this gun disappointed me, but it made up for it with its interesting features and overall build quality.
It is the cheapest electric model after all.
It gets 7 out of 10. The next toy already costs around $50. Let's see what it can do. We thought that underneath the cardboard box there would be a nice looking package, but inside we found just a regular plastic bag. Well, that's fine. Let's take a closer look at the gun itself. The first thing that stands out is its size. It is absolutely huge. I would rate the quality of the plastic and the overall build as good. The tank on this toy is removable, so filling it up is quite convenient. But besides water, you also need to pump air into it. The pressure is created using a built-in pump, and after that, the gun is ready to fire. The first impressions while playing with it are only positive. The only downside is that the shots themselves are very quiet. I would have liked to see at least some kind of sound effect, but maybe that is compensated by its performance. The tank of this gun holds a full 1.5 liters of water. That is a lot. I managed to make 39 powerful shots. Of course, if you simply hold down the trigger, all the water will come out almost instantly. We point the barrel forward and fire. After measuring the distance, we get only 7.5 meters. Honestly, at first it seemed to me that the water was traveling farther than 10 meters. Now let's measure the speed of the water. We got around 20 meters per second. Today we have already seen better results. This single shot wasn't enough to punch through the paper. I had to hold the trigger down and bring the barrel almost right up to the paper. The power test also didn't show the most impressive result. A single short burst won't be enough to seriously soak your opponent. If you hold down the trigger, then things become completely different. Let's shoot at some tin cans and check the accuracy. The cans fly away one after another, exactly in the order I aim at them. The accuracy here is actually really good. Most likely, it is thanks to the thin stream and good pressure. But for $50, I expected to see a much cooler toy. That's why this water gun gets only 5 points out of 10. Next, we'll open this box, which also cost $50. The packaging looks attractive, but what interests me the most is the toy itself. Let's take it out. Since this model is also electric, the package includes a battery, charger, screwdriver, and various instructions.
The manufacturer was clearly inspired by a popular water gun, which we show a little later.
Despite the fact that this is a cheap copy, it is made pretty well. The plastic does not creak and feels nice to the touch. Although the fake screen looks a little silly, and behind this blue cover is a port where the battery connects. After that, the toy is completely ready to use. Judging by the sound of the motor, it can shoot both single shots and bursts, and refilling is done with a separate pump, which turns on when you press the trigger. It's time to check the tank capacity. We managed to fill almost 300 milliliters of water, exactly the amount that was stated on the packaging. The manufacturer didn't lie. As I already mentioned, the toy can shoot single shots, and if you hold down the trigger, a whole burst starts coming out of the barrel. The first impressions are very good. By the way, a full tank is enough for about 32 shots. Let's check the range. We take measurements and get almost 10 meters. A very respectable result. The previous electric model shot almost half as far. The speed of the water also turned out to be good, reaching 25 meters per second. Tearing a sheet of paper in automatic mode was absolutely no challenge for this gun. We decided to make the test harder and placed a piece of cardboard. The stream of water slowly but confidently tears through it and goes all the way through. Very impressive power results. Even a single shot is enough to completely soak a friend, and if you turn on automatic mode, you can soak them completely. Now we move on to the accuracy test. I even stepped farther away, but this toy had absolutely no problem hitting the cans. The last test left is battery life. I fully charged the battery and started the test, but right in the middle of it, the gun suddenly broke down. The water pump started working non-stop and refused to turn off. I had to quickly disconnect the battery. Honestly, I even started worrying that the toy might explode. I definitely didn't expect something like this. The gun passed all the tests perfectly, but at the very end, this unpleasant incident happened. Maybe I just got a defective unit. But if we ignore this failure and imagine that the toy works perfectly, our score for it would be 8 points out of 10. The last box from the $50 category is still waiting for us, or more precisely, this is a water gun that costs $55. In this price category, almost all the packages already look pretty decent. Let's see what's inside. Here we find the gun itself and a pretty impressive set of accessories. The toy looks very solid and is designed in the style of a real P90. A lot of effort was clearly put into the details. The gun feels very reliable in your hands. We install the battery in its place, and after that the toy is completely ready to use. Now we can take a closer look at it. To refill the gun, you need to open this cover. It holds 400 milliliters of water. The manufacturer claimed 50 milliliters more on the packaging, but this kind of difference is not critical at all. A full tank is enough for about 147 shots. But there is also this adapter included in the package. It screws onto the filling port, and with it you can connect even a 2-liter bottle to the gun, and this amount will definitely be enough to have some serious fun.
The number of shots is very high.
Let's check the shooting range. The water traveled 8 meters and 13 centimeters, and the speed of the water reached 28 meters per second. Let's fire a burst at the cardboard. The stream of water gradually starts chewing through it, and eventually a hole appears in the sheet. For this toy, this task turned out to be very easy. One shot won't do much, but if you hold down the trigger, the high rate of fire can cool down your friend very quickly on a hot day. The toy also performed well in the accuracy test. Almost every shot hit the target perfectly. Now we just need to check the battery life. The battery is fully charged. To avoid stopping for refills, we place the funnel into the filling hole, and we'll add water during the experiment, starting the stopwatch. On a single charge, this gun lasted only 2 minutes and 39 seconds. On one hand, that's not much, but on the other hand, during this time, you can still have a lot of fun with it. This water gun is worth every cent and becomes the first participant in this video to receive the maximum score. We are getting closer to the most interesting category, water guns that cost over $100. This model cost a whole $150, and the first thing that disappoints me a little is this very cheap box.
It's disappointing to see packaging like this for that price.
Hopefully everything is fine with the toy inside. Let's start the unboxing. Just look at how much stuff is here. The toy arrived partially disassembled, but even a child could put it together. And this is no longer just a water gun, but a real machine gun.
I've only seen one like this in GTA.
Honestly, the materials don't really look like they match the price. They are not bad, but I would have liked stronger plastic. Will the barrel really rotate? And there is also built-in lighting here. As you probably already guessed, this machine gun also runs on a battery. It was already installed inside. After pressing the trigger, the toy comes to life, and during shooting, the the barrel really starts rotating. This is a really cool feature, and I have never seen anything like it before. All the other accessories included in the package also left a great impression. The tank here is removable, so refilling it is very convenient. The toy also shoots in a very impressive way. Water comes out from different barrels, and judging by the sound, the shots here are really powerful. And in the dark, the built-in lighting creates the effect of flames coming out, just like with real automatic weapons. The standard tank holds around 400 milliliters of water. That's enough for about 28 shots, but the package also includes another reservoir with an adapter that allows you to connect this backpack. It holds more than 2 liters, a very creative solution that significantly increases the water supply. Besides the backpack, the package includes a long hose with a small filter. Thanks to it, you don't have to stop and refill during water battles. It works the same way as we showed with the electric clock. The filter perfectly blocks sand and other small debris, so you don't have to worry about something breaking. Let's check the shooting range of this machine gun. This time we'll use a measuring tape because the distance here is already huge. We get 14 meters and 60 centimeters. In almost any pool, this thing can easily reach your opponent. The speed of the water is also impressive, almost 31 meters per second. Dodging a shot like this will already be pretty difficult. Besides that, the shots themselves have excellent power. The stream of water destroys a cardboard sheet in just a few seconds. We decided to make the challenge harder and took thicker cardboard. We fixed it on the stand and opened fire. Here the gun had a harder time, but in the end it still managed to break through the material. After a single shot, this is the small wet spot that remains on clothing. And if you turn on automatic mode, it is practically impossible to stay dry in front of this barrel. Since I have a serious weapon, we'll test accuracy using a real target. I take 3 steps back and shoot with colored water so the hits are clearly visible. The first shot hit the 6. The second one already landed on the 9, and the last one. Wait, I wasn't even aiming at this small target.
The barrel keeps rotating, which makes it inaccurate.
Let's test the battery life with a fully charged battery, and we don't even have to come up with a way to supply water because the manufacturer already thought of everything. Starting the stopwatch. The $150 machine gun lasted 5.5 minutes. In my opinion, the battery life here is very respectable, and so is the toy itself. In every aspect except accuracy, it completely satisfied me. That's why our score is 9 out of 10. For $30 more, I bought this box. Under the black plastic wrap was an incredibly beautiful box. Inside, we found a toy from the company Spyra, and this model has one very unusual feature.
Didn't Apple happen package this toy?
Many people call this company the Apple of the water gun world, but is that really true? Let's find out. Opening the box. Inside, we are greeted by a huge water gun, and it looks extremely impressive. Besides the gun itself, the package included a pouch with rubber balls that close with magnets, an instruction manual, a charging cable, and a screwdriver. I can't wait to take a closer look at the gun itself. The plastic is thick and bright, and the build quality is simply excellent. The battery here is built in and charges through a Type-C cable. Not long ago, this connector was only found in modern smartphones, and now it is even used in a toy. As we already said, this model shoots water-filled balls. We open the charging compartment and load the ammunition inside. During loading, their number is displayed on the screen, allowing you to always see how many shots are left. To prepare the gun for firing, we pull back this handle. After that, the ready indicator appears. We press the trigger and the ball flies out of the barrel. When it hits a surface, it opens up and splashes everything with water. Personally, I absolutely love this format of a water gun. It is truly something unusual and completely different from all the other models. We won't be able to check the tank capacity here, but we can calculate the total water supply. One ball contains exactly 100 milliliters, and there are 4 of them included. That means the total water supply is 400 milliliters. Let's start testing the range. Fire! We measure the distance from the barrel to where the ball landed and get 10.5 meters. But the manufacturer states on the packaging that to achieve maximum range, you need to shoot slightly upward. We followed the instructions and repeated the test. On the second attempt, the ball flew 16 meters, almost exactly what the manufacturer claimed. The speed of the ball turned out to be incredibly high, around 25 meters per second, a very cool result from such an unusual toy. And in the power test, the results were not the most impressive. The sheet was simply knocked off the staples.
but the cardboard itself isn't punctured.
The situation with the napkin was about the same. The ball does not tear through it, but simply knocks it off the stand. And this low power is completely understandable here.
That was the manufacturer's invention, to avoid causing pain during play.
But one of these balls can still soak a target very well. After a hit, a large wet spot remains.
Shooting this target with this gun is a quite proper ride.
That's why we'll test accuracy using cans. I aimed at one specific can, but the gun hit several of them at once. I wouldn't call this kind of shooting accurate.
We didn't like its battery life from the start.
During the review, I had to charge the battery several times. It drained quite quickly, which was a little disappointing. Overall, the idea is really cool and truly unique. That's why our score is 7 points out of 10. And this score is largely because of how unusual this toy is. We have one last box left, and this one cost a whole $235. That's a huge amount for a water gun. Under the plastic wrap was a box from the already familiar Spyra brand, but this time it was a more classic model. You have to admit, this brand really knows how to present its products beautifully. It's time to see what's inside. The first thing I grabbed was the gun itself. Then there was the manual cable and a brush for cleaning the barrel. The package is very impressive. The barrel itself, with its shape and size, looks very similar to the previous model. But the difference is huge. Not in the build quality, but in the way it works. The materials and assembly here are at the highest level. The toy feels extremely comfortable in your hand.
First impressions are excellent.
The battery is also built in here. The gun turns on with this button. After that, the screen lights up, showing the battery level and the remaining water supply. We place the barrel into the water up to the special mark and hold down the trigger. The pump quickly fills the gun with water, and the numbers on the display update instantly. A very convenient feature. Let's shoot a little. The first pull of the trigger gave me a ton of emotions. The water shoots out of the barrel instantly, and during the shot, you can feel a real recoil. This was the classic mode. In the second mode, the gun fires a burst of 3 shots. Everything is made as realistically as possible. By the way, during shooting, the remaining water amount on the display is constantly updated. The last mode is the most powerful one. You can hear the gun creating extra pressure first, and after releasing the trigger, it delivers an incredibly powerful shot.
I think you figure it out. Who inspired the manufacturers of this water gun?
There's really no need to say much more, even the names are very similar. Let's move on to our tests. To measure the volume, we had to take a larger container. The tank is filled and holds a full 600 milliliters of water. This amount is enough for about 20 shots, which is very impressive considering their effectiveness. We add dye to the water and check the range. Taking the shot, the water flew extremely far, but the gun shot 12.5 meters. Maybe the most powerful mode will give an even better result. Let's check. Unfortunately, no. The water landed even a little closer. Apparently, because of the higher power, the stream breaks apart into smaller droplets faster and loses range. But when we measured the speed of the water, we were genuinely shocked. More than 30 meters per second. Maybe the most powerful mode will improve this result as well. Let's check. And yes, the speed increased noticeably. After a single shot, the thick cardboard gets visibly pushed in, and the entire stand literally jumps. In automatic mode, this barrel turns into a real water cutter. And now for comparison, a shot in the most powerful mode. Let's check if a toy like this can break eggs. The stream of water cracks the shells. The eggs literally fly apart in different directions. By the way, in automatic mode, this gun can easily be used as a mini pressure washer. The stream is so powerful that it can wash dirt off a car. But can this gun break a glass? First shot. The glass simply fell over, but it remained completely intact. We reduce the distance and shoot again. The glass did not even crack after hitting the rocks, shooting almost point blank. Still nothing. Looks like these glasses are somehow bulletproof. But on empty tin cans, the gun leaves clearly visible dents.
The toy is incredibly powerful.
Soaking your friend with a gun like this would be absolutely no problem. After a shower like that, they might even get offended. Let's shoot at the target, aiming and firing. The first hit is a 9, the second shot lands right in the center, and the third one almost hits the exact same spot. This weapon is extremely accurate. I even wanted to test it on a moving target. Here, not every shot hit the target, but most of the shots were still accurate. The accuracy of this gun is excellent. The battery is fully charged. Let's find out how long it will last, starting the stopwatch and beginning the test. In the end, the water gun lasted almost half an hour on a single charge.
I am so tired of playing around.
This gun is simply incredible. The premium feeling is noticeable in absolutely everything, and playing with it gives you amazing emotions. Our score is the maximum possible, 10 points out of 10. You might ask, why do we need so many water guns? Of course, to have real water battles with friends and escape the summer heat. Which gun would you choose? Be sure to write in the comments, and also don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel.